Welcome into the Mediator. I've got the welcome mat and I've got the slow jams playing. I am ready to get through the top 8 stories as usual. And like I said, there's a reason that we're here. And that reason is for me to give you the top 8 headlines so you can go about your daily dose of vitamin news. I'd like to welcome you once again. It's been a great week. The weather outside is nice. As my one cousin Keela would say, it's cracking. Nice weather. I can take it. I can dig it. I can love it. But ladies and gentlemen, my goal is to make you feel good in the Mediator with the news. So you just a little taste of goodness and vitamin news. If you want to contribute any way during the show, all you have to do is go to METHOD, the number 8 INC.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. It is my supreme duty as a Mediator to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories each week so you can be informed and know what's going on. Now, I add a little bit of flavor to it, a little bit of substance, something that you can lash on to. And let me read the disclaimer. These top 8 stories are only documented for records and to highlight topics for those in the business of talk radio, talk media, and those who just want to stay informed. And we're about to get to top 8. If you want to contribute in any way during the show, all you have to do is go to METHOD, the number 8 INC.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Or you can just sponsor a program. If your signal is not clear enough, you can go to www.600wsom.com and you can tune in online, or the show is usually uploaded throughout the week. You can go to www.method, the number 8 inc.com, and you can listen to the shows. They're usually uploaded in our archives on YouTube. And if you want to, like I said, if you want to help us out in any way, you can always stop by the office. You can contribute, you can go to the website, view some of the stories that almost made it into the top 8, or you could just swing by the office and sell something, buy something. Every little contribution helps. Or you can go to the website www.method, the number 8 inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. And it's time to get to the top 8 stories that made it into the Mediator this week. Story number 1, ladies and gents, and I know you've been waiting on it. Are global powers secretly prepared for something? And what could it possibly be? Now, when we say global powers, I was checking out some stories. I was doing a lot of, before the show, I was like to go into a lot of just archives of different nations and different regimes that rule throughout the world. And you can't help but look at Egypt, where most of the culture that we see today comes from. And I was reading about a pharaoh. He was a misfit. It was a pharaoh misfit. And he changed all the customs in Egypt, what people were used to worshiping and what they were used to. They had, Egypt had many gods. And I'm looking at the styles, the different styles of leadership. And the United States, the country where I was born and raised, the country where I served in the military, is there's different things happening in the news, and there's always a different style of leadership every time we get a president. There's always different, but I think there's been more tensions involving race because of the past administration and people wanting to be treated fairly and equally. So as I was looking at the world and looking at just the positions that people are putting themselves in, and a lot of people are concerned about not just the way that the wealthy, the 1%, have been handling their wealth, but it's been a concern because of people are it was just making some headlines about how Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And I've been looking at these world affairs, and if you didn't know, there was some headlines that surfaced about how the U.S. and Russia are stockpiling missiles for nukes for different kinds of war. So if you take this back, a few weeks ago, I was talking about Dr. King. I was talking about Martin Luther King. I was talking about some different civil rights leaders was different people with different ideologies and how they were concerned about the education system, and they were concerned about desegregation, and they were concerned about just the when you talk about the dynamics of how people would engage in just civility in the future of this country. And some of them sacrificed their lives. Some of them didn't know they were going to die. Some of them knew that something was going to happen to them. They just didn't know what, and then they lost their life. So we're at the point where we've that's probably over 60 years, and we're starting to see. You had artists, you had a lot of artists who would make videos back in the 80s about nuclear dearmament and peace and global peace. Even Ronald Reagan embraced the peace sign. So we're at a point to where people are saying that peace is in danger because of where we're headed. And you look at this administration, and you look at stories that have been emerging, and it's the people are saying that Americans have become soft, and but something is happening. And like I said, there's some other headlines that made it into story number one. And the reason why story number one is just an amazing story, and how it crept in is there will be a withdrawal from a nuclear arms control treaty with Russia. And there was also some headlines that surfaced about how ISIS fighters held in Syria surpassed 800 for the first time. If you don't know about ISIS, ISIS has been recruiting fighters from all over the globe. People at the bottom of the food chain, people who have not been able to just want to be a part of something. They don't like a certain system. So there's been this underground rebellion in just the world. And a nation has always many powerful nations have always been judged by their military and their strength, their ability to trade and engage in commerce, and we're seeing some things changing. And there was even a story that surfaced about how the U.S. will be stopping aid to the Palestinians in the West Bank of Gaza. So we're starting to see. So these leaders are making moves, and the thing is what are they preparing for? Do they have some eye in their secret room that's telling them the future? Do they have some psychics, some type of if you do, like I said, I always try to look at the past, and people do some amazing things to maintain power over other people. Even in the scriptures, it talks about how I think it was Saul and David, and how I think it was in Samuel, and how one of the kings, I mean the first king of Israel, he went back and consulted with the witches, and he ended up losing his reign, and then that's when King David stepped in. So there's a lot of forgive me if I got the scripture wrong, but you can see how these power players are positioning themselves to make some major moves, and this border wall is just another move by another player. But the thing is that some things are unsurfacing where the people who they are qualifying as pawns on their chessboard are starting to get a voice. They have a voice with the internet, and you're seeing rebellion, and they're trying to wake up the masses. So this is happening not just in the United States, it's happening on a global scale, and you're seeing different fashions, different sects, different tribes, and they're starting to emerge. There was even a story that surfaced about China. They're continuing to borrow billions from the World Bank. So this is interesting. What are they borrowing money for? They have a stable system, and their economy has been booming. So what are they preparing for? And the fact that this administration will not leave this border wall issue alone, just alone, period. And you look at what's been happening with the fact that Facebook, and Twitter have been removing thousands of fake accounts tied to Russia, Venezuela, and Iran. So we're seeing that nothing has changed the way people rise and fall. People have thought we were always on a course for some big time antichrist to come and destroy everything, and then the savior comes from the clouds. No, this is a real chessboard and people are moving positions constantly, and there's a group, there's a certain sect of people, you could call them activists, but they're trying to wake up the masses to see what's happening in this game. Even when you look at the war between the right and the left, the right is trying to say the left has been causing mass problems in this country for years. So when you see things like this happening, and the fact that you've got even in Afghanistan, there's been a cause for a U.S. framework with with the Taliban changed. They're looking for some type of a treaty in there, and the fact that the Senate has been constantly warning what would happen. They're trying to give a bailout about what an early withdrawal from Syria and Afghanistan would do to the strategic battle. So when you see people constantly questioning about the qualifications of the businessman Donald Trump, the president, in the White House, this is people have a lot of invested in stock and in this country, and they don't want to see the nation crumble, and this is what's happening. And there are just many different players in this game, many different people with a lot of, and when it comes to the leadership of this country, people say the most powerful nation ever walked the face of the earth. Is that true? Especially when you've had over I think it was Egypt lasted for almost 6 to 5,000 years, and the United States has only been in existence for over 200 something. So people are starting to see that, especially when they see a weakness, leaders from all over the globe, they start to devalue some things. And you may see that with Russia, as they're saying that when it comes to these treaties, they haven't been keeping them, and it's evident that they haven't been keeping them. If they were, then there have been some there would have been some deactivation or some withdrawal from nukes. But the fact is that something is happening. Excuse me. In the atmosphere, there's something happening with these nations, and the thing is are they not giving are they just not afraid, or is it the policies? Do they see weaknesses in this country right now because of the fact that people are they're just uproars all over the place? Do they smell blood? This question. Do the wolves smell blood? Even when you have the fact that the United States now is reconstructing a new nuclear weapon. So there looks like there's no disarmament in sight, and for years people were pulling for the disarmament of nuclear weapons to everybody, and now we're seeing a race. So something is happening in the shakeup of global politics, and freedom. The ability to wake up every morning and have a chance to build your own empire may be in danger, and that's probably what you see happening in the normal day-to-day activities. When you look at the media, the reports, some things that have been surfacing. Some people say that some people are just asleep, some people are awake, some people know what's going on, and the fact that the Trump administration secretly shipped weapons grade plutonium from South Carolina to Nevada. So the question, folks, is what are these power players, these global power players, positioning, or what are they preparing for? Do they know something that the public does not know? Is there something happening in the atmosphere, the big global chessboard? When you look at the urgency to build walls, the urgency to have border security, when you look at what's at stake, the urgency to find volunteers, is there something happening on the horizon that may change the course on how our day-to-day, the culture, the normal way, the traditional way of living? When you talk about so many new things, and you look at all of these new issues, hate crimes, the battle against the media, something's happening. That's story number one. Are global powers secretly preparing for something, and what could it possibly be? That story crept into the top 8. Like I said, if you want to contribute anyway, you're in the meeting with me, Brian West. You can go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. All you have to do is buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. It is my duty to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it throughout the week, so you yourself can be informed. It's tough out there if you do not know what's going on in the world. world or just keeping an eye. So I navigate the news just for you. Born in the belly of a woman and born into this world. It was my divine purpose, my supreme duty as a child to mediate, to stand between, to understand the difference between right and wrong and pile it up in one big story just for you, giving you something to lash on to, something to realize, something to navigate, something to understand, to be informed. So if you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. You're in the meeting with me, Brian West. All you have to do is go to the website, buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you can just sponsor a program, or if you want to stop by, I'm at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio. I'm there from 10 to 6 Monday through Friday. You can stop by and just tell me what I can do for you for this, so you can do for the community. Let's get to story number 2 that made it to the media this week. Keeping up with the times. Yes, there's something happening not just in the world, but technology and the fast acceleration of movement, especially in the United States. This is not a third world country, so things are constantly on the move, and people are trying to keep up. There was an article that surfaced about student loan debt and how millennials have had a problem buying homes because of student loan debt. And many people, a lot of just analysts are starting to look at past administrations and past decisions that have brought us to the point that we are today. And many are concerned about this new generation, especially my generation, and how our finances we've not been able to keep up. They're concerned about just some of the rights that they gave us in the beginning of the foundation, the framework of this country that we live in. And when you talk about Second Amendment rights, when you talk about just all different rights that we have within the Constitution, things are starting. And even some activists who have been against the Constitution. So we're trying to keep up with this new environment, this new age of thinkers and idealists and people who have creative abilities and people who can't keep up. And some of them have been marked off. And so times are changing. Even when you talk about different sexualities, different cultures, people are trying to keep up. And the thing is that the question we have to ask ourselves is the government, can we afford to upgrade? When you talk about the facilities, the roads, the cities, the empires that the past generation built, all of the foundations that have been crumbling, can this new generation keep up? Even when there's just been countless stories about this new generation is becoming so fragile, so delicate, so sensitive, and there's just so much happening to where it could affect the future. So where there's all different new technologies that are emerging, but the fact is that is the human mind, some people's minds built for all of this? And this is starting to take forefront in the news, especially when you talk about the fact that people are using marijuana and opioids and all these new drugs. Is all of these new advances in tech and industry is changing just the platform of even how you take care of your children, the fundamentals of family. Everything is changing, and people are starting to come to the table and say, is it doing more bad or is it doing more good? And there's just so much happening. Even when I talked about the college students, but there was some headlines that were surfacing in the news about the homeless rate and how a lot of college students, state of California, may be introducing some bills that may be allowing them to sleep in their cars on campus, and because of the housing crisis. You have all of this land, all of these houses, empty houses, vacant, abandoned buildings, and the what you call like the human mind has been so adjusted to this new way of living where you're dumbed down, and then you have to go to college, and then you have to get college debt. So folks, the system may be taking, and then you have all these politicians trying to advance new laws, but the simplicity is that there's been something happening. And when you talk about keeping up with the times, something is changing the course of human, how we keep tabs, not just on our finances, but on our homes. And people are saying that if the money runs out, then that's it. That's it. All of that advanced thinking, all of that college education will be in vain. So this is happening. And even when you talk about treatments, there was a doctor who prescribed marijuana cookies to a young 4-year-old child for temper tantrums, and this doctor may lose his license. So is this the causing? Is technology not serving its purpose when it comes to the human brain? I was once told by my track coach to never let a computer outthink you. So this is what is this happening right now. There was even a story that surfaced about little children not being able to look at machines, the computer screens too long, or they may have birth defects. So there's just a lot going on. And there was even some stories that have been surfacing about God and religion and the rule of law. These stories are starting to shape the future of thinkers because of the past. How past generations had less, but they made what they could with less. But this new generation, there's a monetary system where everything is revolving around currency, and there's some thinkers, some big time thinkers out there, and they're using government to get their message out. So this is a new platform that we're starting to see being built for people to be able to voice their opinions about a system that they feel is not working for their advantage. Even when you talk about corruption, there was a survey that said the U.S. government has a worst mark since 2011 when you talk about corruption. And there's just been so many different stories, even when you talk about how food is regulated, how some people are shipping in goods from other countries. So there's just so much happening, and government is trying, and just not just government, but a lot of officials are trying to keep up with the times. The U.S. stamp is to jump 10%. This is the biggest increase ever. Infestation, 600 bats at a Louisiana high school causes temporary closure. So who do we blame for not being able to keep up with this mass influx of knowledge, technology, just the advancement of just so many different discoveries, and we still cannot accommodate the needs of just citizens, normal citizens. Not enough houses. When there's land, there's empty vacant houses everywhere. So the question is, we may be being judged not by the gods, but even not just by the gods, but by ourselves, not just by even just one God. We are being judged by ourselves on how we've taken care of our own self. We can't even. Some people haven't even been taking care of their own body. So this is what's happening. When you talk about just even better laws against animals in regards to human life. So there's even some stories talking about now where states are now trying to push for more Bible literacy. So these are stories that are happening, trying to keep up with the times. We're almost at the halfway point. You're in the meeting with me, Brian West, where it's my duty to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories so you can have a balanced ball field to keep you informed. If you want to contribute anyway, you can go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you can just sponsor a program. Every little bit counts if you want to help out or be a contributor. Or you can just stop by the office. I'm at 5648 Market Street. I'm there from 10 to 6 Monday through Friday. And they said every little bit counts. If you want to come by, stop by, and just get some services, goes back into the community. I see nothing. All I do is serve. So if you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. Let's get to story number 3. Keeping a close eye on scientists. Folks, this story has surfaced because of like I was talking about in the first 2 stories, the evolution of academics, just the way it's changed, and the cycles of just academia, and the brain, and how human beings have been able to come together and create things that have altered the course of human thinking. Well, they've got even now where scientists have a gene editing tool, I believe it's called CRISPR, and it is able to edit they're saying that it's able to edit human genes. So if you have a genetic disability, this tool can change it. And there was a scientist that was from China. This story surfaced that he had already done it without the consent of his superiors. So this story is not only, it's been staying in the news, it popped up to number 3 because of the fact that science has changed so many just types of behaviors, types of thinking, types of just how we manage our daily lives. When you look at how science has evolved, it just boomed after, and over the years, the ability for humans to be able to take what's in their thoughts and bring it to life. So if humans are able to genetically modify our own species, think of how this may change the future. Or is this even ethical? If people exempt the fact of normal creation, the normal things, if they're interfering with all of this, with mutations, with pollution, with all of this human innovation, if they are trying to control the principles and the deities, the whoever created us, where we stem from, if man is trying to take this simple thing into his own hands, you got to ask ourselves, if I believe whatever is going on the other side, how will we be judged after this life with all the power that we've been given? So this is what's happening, and this is why story number 3 crept its way in and almost made it to the middle. It's talking about keeping an eye on these scientists and what they've been able to do with the freedoms and the laws. If they can't get it one place, they'll go someplace else. It's not war that amazes people. It's what science and innovation can do in the war. When you talk about bombs that can blow up mass civilizations, can eradicate an entire community, genocide, just explosions. These come from the human mind, the ability to create things that can explode, and that's why, like I said, when you look at these stories and you look at the fact that there have been children literally kidnapped and killed for body parts, folks, this is not, if you're out there and you've been on the battlefield for something and you cannot find any purpose in life and you've just given up on everything, you think that there's nothing, folks, there's a battle going on, and you've probably fallen asleep and you've probably been fed, you've been getting fat off the land, but there is some real stuff happening. It is happening to your own species, and it could happen to your own children. And if this does not wake you up to not only be informed, but to figure out what you can do to stop all of this madness. If you're a religious person, a Christian, or some type of trying to find some reasoning, some understanding of what you can do to change things, there have been people who have gotten smarter than you, took advantage of your sloth, took advantage of the fact that you've X'd yourself out of the game. So if you want to get back into the game, you could be a disciple to this new field that has taken normal human beings, normal human behavior, and alternated it for their own good. They're living off the fat of the land. If you talk about gentrification and poor people and how the 1% has taken, folks, there's a real battle going on. There's something happening, and they've done it without you, because of the fact that you decided to let it happen. This is a reality surfacing. It is happening not just in the United States. It's happening on a global scale, where people have altered the laws in communist countries. They've changed it. And there's somebody trying to wake you up, folks. Even when it talks to your politicians being bought out, pharmaceutical companies, military inventions, upgrades, things that you've put your trust in. They're saying that you've been betrayed. I'm not saying that all of this is bad. I'm just saying, wake up so you can understand what's been happening and why things are going wrong. Like I said, if you want to contribute anyway, it's exhausting in mediation, but somebody's got to do it. And I've taken it upon myself to stay in the middle, to get the knowledge that enlightens, to get the knowledge that helps, to get the knowledge that heals the human activity. If you want to contribute anywhere and be a part, all you have to do is go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Folks, this is radio that's good for you. I guarantee it. Vitamin News will lift you up. This is the meat of the topic. I've put on my cape and I'm flying through the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Let me lick my lips and tell you, folks, I'm talking and giving it to you. It's the mediator giving it to you. Radio frequencies that's healing you through vibrations of dialect and tone, dulcet tones, vibrations, baritones, mass power. I'm pumping up and I'm getting ready for the second half. Folks, if you want to contribute anyway, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method8.com, where it is my duty. Like I said, it could be your duty if you want to contribute anyway. All you have to do is buy something, click on something, watch something, something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program born out of the belly of the woman, put into the mass civilization of society to mediate. Let's get to story number 4. And if you want to contribute, we are at the halfway point. All you have to do is go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, method.com, buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. Let's get to sports. Story number 4, as we are getting closer and closer to the top 2 stories that made us in the meter. Is Trump winning on the economy, or is he just in the way? The question has always been, are politicians just in the way? Is the government just in the way? U.S. added 304,000 jobs last, I think it was in January, and shut down boosted unemployment to 4%. But our economy has been chugging along, and GM started laying off 4,000 salary workers on Monday. Trump also signed a measure aimed at boosting his Buy America initiative. So the president is in the driver's seat, and he has a lot of activism, a lot of people in his corner, and some people who are, but the economy has been chugging along and it's been able to recover. But sometimes people are just saying that it's not that Americans don't want to work. Like even when you talk about the rule of law and just the way things are, especially when you look at the fairness doctrine of the United States, people are saying that it's not that it can't, that the economy can't work out. It's just the policies that regulate. It's not that we don't have oil reserves, or when you talk about things to lower gas prices. When you look at this president, and when he came in office, he talked about regulation, he talked about business policies, and getting people to be back on the America agenda, which is American workers, But some people say this hasn't been achieved. And when you look at the local economy, when you look at how many jobs have been leaving, this is on the Republican agenda. And Republicans, if you're listening, and even just Democrats, there is a field in the Mahoning Valley, northeastern Ohio area that has been getting neglected. Youngstown, Ohio. If you want to see Youngstown, Ohio is one of the just few cities that has been just trampled on when it comes to economic just development and just the future. You look at the education system, you look at the smaller communities in the inner city, the minority communities. There's potential to show something that can work, and many business owners have passed. And you look at even GM is trying to get out of the business of northeastern Ohio. They're talking about closing some auto plants. Folks, this is not what we're looking at. Is you're looking at just one plant. GM has probably many just tons of assets. I mean, and there's probably a lot of companies who have their leg in the game, but they will not touch certain areas. And a lot of people are saying that this is the problem when you look at the fact that there's not too many people. When you go talk about the inner city and how the education system within just these smaller communities, how no one has really stepped in and put on their cape and said, I'm going to go in and try to change things. So that's what I'm telling you. If you're a hero out there and you want a challenge and you want something that you could die for, not only just put up a fight to change. There are tons of communities, inner city, minority communities that have been deprived of not only education, normal resources. There's a story about a guy who I met who has I think he's been dancing Puerto Rico and a lot of different countries, and he's come into the inner city giving dance lessons to people who can't afford it. And these are magical things, folks. If you're just tired of wealth and the normal protocol of the industry life, and you want to make it, you're a journalist out there, and you have a little bit of money or some type of difference you can make, I'm telling you, they always say that for a person to achieve their maximum worth in life, they have to go where they're needed the most. And there's been some places that have been deprived. And if you're riding a horse and you've got everything you want in life and you're still not satisfied, you've been married or divorced about 4 or 5 times, and you're just suffering from depression, and you have some skills, this may be the time to rise up. I mean, this may be the time, folks. What to say? if you've awakened the sleeping giant, and this may be the time for just Americans to show their fullest potential. Yes, and not only that, but the president is also facing historically bad numbers for re-election 2020. Even though he's been able to, he's been just boasting about his ability to change the economy, and but the people are saying that. Some sides are saying he's in the way. Some sides are saying is we deserve to put our big statue up of Donald Trump and worship Donald Trump. They still even got some of the radio, I think, playing about the past administration, the Obama administration. So they're still trying to compare politics. But the fact is that Americans, no matter what you do, once they have their mind made up, they're going to create. They're going to try to make something happen. And regulation or no regulation, when the law faces them, some of us sink or swim, and some people are saying that maybe there needs to be a lack of regulation, a lack of policies that are against small business owners, more chances for some of these people to blossom, and more communities, more opportunities, a better system. It is happening. It's happening forefront, especially when you look at when you look at I think it's March 1st that we have the tariff deadline that's approaching, the big deal with China. So Trump is aiming. He has some leg in the game with that, and the fact that the government shutdown cut into economic growth. Reports say it cost the U.S. economy $11 billion. So that's story number 4. And there's a lot going on within the United States economy, and we have to ask ourselves: is the president winning, or is he just in the way? Is government just in the way of just the fact that just people, citizens just have new American citizens just have the natural ability to create? That's always been a strength of this country. So those are some of the questions. Like I said, just so much happening within story number 4, but I just had to cover just those main details of what's actually happening within local economies, smaller communities, and the fact that the 1% is on the radar because of the fact that people are wondering where they've been investing, and they're putting them on the radar saying that they need to be taxed, whereas some people are saying that it's just the bottom that hasn't been put in their 2%. So if you want to like I said, if this may be your chance to thrive in a world that needs new entrepreneurs, new thinking. So there's so many fields that need to be just so many careers that could be filled, so many career paths. So if you want to contribute to me or help me out, all you have to do is go to method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you can just sponsor a program. That's method8inc.com. Let's get to story number 5: understanding the blueprint of the right versus the left. Folks, there's a story number 5 crept its way in because I've been constantly noticing this story. It's just been there, where there's this battle in America, and just in this country, that is surfacing between the right and the left. And when they say the right, you talk about the far right. When they say the left, you could talk about the far left. But the right is just spewing out a bunch of facts, and the left is spewing out a bunch of facts, and it's creating just tons of confusion and incivility. It's causing hatred, hate crimes. Things are happening, and then you have people saying where it surfaced from, where it stemmed from, and it had to start somewhere. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about when how relations in this country were starting to we were starting to basically get over the past problems that we had faced, and people were still being active, but they weren't being as radical. But there's just things that have been swept under the rug that are coming to light, and it's causing a mass problem because the people there's just one problem that we're facing in this country. It is that everybody cannot win, or everybody cannot feel like a winner at the same time, or everybody cannot have. But the fact of this country is that when you have the 1% constantly not understanding what it's like to not be in the 1% bracket, so this is what people are saying, and they're they're fighting. And when you have 99% of the wealth not being in that 99% pocket, who are they going to go after? They're going to go after the 1%. So when you look, if there was not a problem, why would the Trump administration have to try to eliminate the middleman when it comes to drug prices? Or if there was not a problem, why would the Supreme Court not be having to constantly change abortion laws? Or why is abortion constantly in the news? If there was not a problem in the blueprint of this country, when you talk about how the system is structured, why would the Democrats be trying to ditch the Electoral College? Or why is there some big uproar about Ralph Northam's picture of him? And folks, there are some serious issues going on the ground, and people are blaming the 1%. And they're saying, when they're talking about the way this thing is, there's so many stories that are surfacing about how even Texan officials are trying to walk back allegations about non-citizen voters. So there's stories that are surfacing, and this is the meat of the problem, especially when you talk about the informed and the uninformed. The fact that people are voting on things that they're not paying for. When you talk about the housing crisis, and the fact that some people have been living off of the government for years and never try to do anything about it. There's a basic understanding that people have been disconnected from. It is creating a blueprint to the battle between the right versus the left. The Republicans are saying, why is this group voting for the oppressors, the Democrats? Or why do the Democrats have so many? So it is creating a battlefield of facts that, and the Democrats are saying, some Democrats are saying, we've tried to cater or tried to use the powers that we've been given by our voters to help them. So you have this battle going on in this country, not just for votes, but for people to join the parties. And it's creating so much confusion and so many different understandings. And the thing is, it's creating policies that can either hurt or harm the average American. And people are constantly pointing at the 1%, especially when it comes to this financial crisis, where it comes to people living paycheck to paycheck. So why some prominent U.S. figures will always be held accountable for what's been happening, or why some prominent U.S. figures will be judged because of their views against the United States, who knows? But the fact is, their opinions are affecting the people in the 99%, and they're making it seem like the 1% is the problem. It is, even when you have celebrities like Don Cheadle giving his views on democracy, and the fact that a surprising number of Republicans want Trump off the 2020 ticket. Folks, there's something happening in the battle. It's happening on each side. There's left versus left, right versus right, then right versus left. There's something stirring up in the atmosphere of this country. And by George, you may be in the middle of it and not even know. Your children may be the bait that people need. They may need them. They may need your kids to be on their battlefield. You don't need. You may not. That's why it's important to know what's happening, and that's why I come in here every week to keep you enlightened, to get you to know what's going on. You're the mediator with me, Brian West. If you want to contribute anyway, all you have to do is go to METHOD, the number 8 INC.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. It is my duty every week to give you the top 8 headlines in developing news stories. No. Hey, turn off that TV for just a second. Get something that's good for you. Vitamin News with me, the Dr. Feelgood, giving you love and affection through the news. I'm not hurting you. I'm giving you what's good for you. And I'm not force feeding you. I'm feeding it to you. I'm giving it to you. And you can partake. We can break bread together, folks, in the mediator. But if you want to contribute anyway, all you have to do is go to METHOD, the number 8 INC.com, method8.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. We're almost through. Let's get to the top 3 stories that made it in. Story number 6. I said, if you want to contribute in any way, just go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methodinc.com. That's METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. Where you can just buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. Folks, story number 6, drugs, border wall, sexual assault, and even stress. There was a story that was surfacing about a TSA worker. They're saying that he jumped to his death. This is what the report claims. There has been no details about it. Just checking the social media accounts, folks. If this is because of stress, if this has anything to do because of the shutdown, I'm telling you, the folks on the top have got to be accountable for what's happening on the bottom. There's been a cry in this country for some type of mercy. Workers have been going through it. People have died from black cold, from even when you talk about the black lung sickness. We've been serving, we've been working. There's been we've watched, people have been watching, and they just want some type of voice in the fight. If there really is a fight going on, people want to know about it. If politicians have been misusing taxpayer dollars, people are looking for answers. It is happening. It's happening in reality. But there's just drugs, border walls, sexual assault, stress, and all types of things that come along in this big democracy that we live in. Record fentanyl drug bust made at the U.S.-Mexican border. Drugs, folks, they've been bringing them in the country. Sexual assault, harassment spikes at military academy. Strategies fail to stem crisis. Yes, there's sexual assault even going on the military bases. And this is what's happening within the old system. Agents keep finding cross-border tunnels as talks of border wall goes on. Underground headlines of borders, underground people bringing in drugs into the country. They're trying to devalue this country. They're trying to destroy it within with drugs. If you haven't figured it out, if you don't know what's going on right now, I'm telling you what's happening. People have been trying to destroy the fundamentals of this great country with drugs and sloth and evil and corruption. Pastor pleads guilty to sex trafficking of teenage girls, teens. ICE snaps dozens of illegal immigrants, some with sex crime convictions in New York. And the U.S. Marines and Navy suicides are at a 10-year high. Folks, there's something happening. There is something happening. There's just, if you look at what's been happening in story number 6 and why it almost got at the top. This is the real deal. Drugs, border walls, sexual assault, stress, all of these things combined, the fact that some people just cannot keep up, can't do it, and the fact that there's been cheaters in the game. They say that one bad apple can destroy the entire tree, folks. And this is when you look at a country that has been, there's been bloodshed. Leaders marching, tons of media stories, songs about the past, and wake up everybody. Just so many things telling us and keeping us away from the darkness of evil. And folks, some people have fallen into the pit and they can't get out there grabbing onto innocent bystanders. Like I said, if you want to contribute anyway, that was story number 6. It's time to get to the top 2 stories. If you want to contribute anyway, all you have to do is go to METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methodinc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. That's METHOD, the number 8, INC.com. I'm in the business of doing so much services. If you want to stop by at 5648 Market Street up there Monday through Friday from 10 to 6 p.m., serving the community. Every little bit counts. Let's get to story number 7. The top 2 stories that made it into the media this week. Is abortion a crime? And how is this old debate gaining some steam? Folks, there have been people, as hard as it is to report on abortion constantly, there have been people, women and men, who have been having sex. They've been enjoying the fruits of life, the essence of the gift that God has given us to reproduce. And some have opted out, and this story has gained some steam. It's in the top 2 stories this week, and it's gaining steam again. when you talk about women's rights and how they've been having these bills coming up constantly about abortion. And one thing I can say about the right is that the right has always been there to put up the fight against abortion. I mean, I don't care what religion it is, if they're Egyptologists, Catholics, Christians, Baptists, they have always been there to fight against the brutality of what we humans possess in us, and that is evil. We all have it in us. But there's been some abortion bills there that have been people have been sick, and there has been an all-out cry to get people to understand what I had me and my mother were having a conversation with this week, and I thanked her. I said, "Mom, I want to thank you for making the choice to bring me into this world." There are ups and downs in this life. I can guarantee it's never easy, and you have bad days, but the ability and the chance just to live is amazing. But I don't condemn, or I don't what they say, I don't just throw stones at people. But women have powerful decisions to make, and they're not only so powerful, but there's been, even when it comes to abuse and the fact that some children, there was even a rape case in one of these stories where a child is being born to a woman in a coma. And some people say that abortion, there's some justice in abortions, and there's some reasoning that some people should be allowed to eliminate the fact that life is brought into this world. And even the story of Christ is such an amazing story, because it homes in on that one topic. That one child was given the chance to live life, and he changed the course of human thinking. So folks, this abortion issue, story number 7, has crept its way into the top 8, and now it's time to get to the top 8 story, when you not only just talking about abortion, the story number 8. Like, if you want to contribute real quick anyway, you can go to method, the number 8 inc.com, method80.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian Westwood. It's my duty to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories. We're at the almost at the end point. We got 5 more minutes left in the show, but story number 8, homing in on new culture wars. Yes, and when you talk about story number 7, and you combine it with this new generation and the old school way of thinking, there are two schools of thoughts that are battling out. Folks, we're at a point now where back in the day, you probably would have, only way you would have seen a tattoo on someone's face would probably been some sign of divinity, or the fact that they were from another country. But folks, people have changed the dress code. They've changed the culture, and there's a culture war happening. And the fact that some women have not only just been looking at the fact that they've been killing their children, but they've been boasting about it on some social media pages. If you don't believe me, there's been some social media accounts where women have actually bragged about the fact that they've had to. So this is a fashion, just a pit that has been developed over the years. If you do not know where abortion originated from, it's been happening throughout the course of human history. I've even in just as long as there's been women and men, people have been getting rid of their children to have not only either a better life, or to change, or to try to even things out. But folks, story number 7 and number 8 are just starting to home in on this new environment, and what is stable, and why are people making the decisions that they are. It's because they're learning this behavior from someplace, and it could be from the books, it could be from human thinking. Some people just don't understand the difference between the right and the left, and some people don't want to live right. Some people love living the life that they have. Some local stories that made it in: Packatans to close all 36 of its stores. Market Street Elementary School is set to close at the year's end. Elderly Austintown couple scammed out of $8,700. A Campbell man has been sent to prison for beating a child. So folks, these are the top 8 stories that made it to the Mediator this week. Like I said, I want to thank you for tuning in, but there's just something happening if you look at these top 2 stories, especially when it comes to just suicide, the belief in God, the fundamental nature of human thinking, and the fact that some people, when you talk about rules of engagement, rules for radical by Saul Alinsky, so many different theologies are coming together and they're taking center stage on how humans believe and how they interact with other human beings. It is changing the setting of the United States, the plot. The happy ending that you may see at the end of a story, the happy ending that you may see in The Mediator. I always, at every show, I always try and hope that there's one story out there that I may be able to grasp onto it that may not only give me a good feeling, but you a good feeling also. And that's what I'm saying. If you want to contribute in any way, METHOD, the number 8, INC.com, methodinc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or just sponsor a program. Tons of stories that I go through every week. Over 200, probably 50 sometimes, over 50 to 200 stories every week, pounding in, reading, seeing what's happening. And I'm always searching for that one story that can make a difference. But I said, all you have to do is go to the website, see what stories almost made it in. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in and sharing some time with me. But it is always my supreme duty to find that story that may impact you, that may change your way of thinking, may give you some type of feeling, some type of inspiration. And there's just so much happening in the world, but you have to stay grounded. You have to stay in tune to things that can change you. Radio is a good thing. It's not bad. Radio is a great thing, actually. Radio is cheap, it's effective, and I say, if you want to be a contributor, all you have to do is visit the website. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week with me, Brian West, and I want to wish you the best of week. And search. There's good stories out there. There's good things happening. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck this week. Have a peaceful week. Enjoy whatever you enjoy doing. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the meeting with me, Brian West.
Have no fear, fellow citizens.